Hi, this is George of YouTube channel Uncanny George, and this is a new episode of First Edition, but it's going to be slightly different. As I mentioned, I'm always trying new and different things. I've been debating trying to separate the show. Those of you who are familiar with the show First Edition, it's kind of a longer show comprised of several elements or segments put together, and I wanted to have that feel like you're watching a television show, and that's why I put those elements together or those segments together. But right now I'm going to try and do a separate segment just on comics reviews, and that's mainly for time getting these comics reviewed in a timely fashion, but also because I want to try different things and see what you guys think. If you prefer the shorter segments, or if you prefer the longer program with the different segments put together, just let me know. So for this segment of First Edition, this is just going to be reviews. The first issue up for review is the Strain number 8 from Dark Horse Comics. This is the Strain, The Night Eternal. What's cool about this comic is it's actually based on the novels by Guillermo del Toro and Chuck Hogan. I've actually read the first two novels. I believe it is, The Strain and The Fall. And I really enjoyed both novels. And I haven't actually read The Night Eternal, so that was kind of something I debated before purchasing this issue. But I wanted to try something different. I was going to try and be as objective as possible. This Strain, The Night Eternal, is brought to us from the novel creators Guillermo del Toro and Chuck Hogan, but is actually written by David Lapham, with art from Mike Huddleston, colors from Dan Jackson, and lettering from Clem Robbins. The cover illustration is by E.M. Gist. So this comic actually does have a bit of a recap at the beginning to kind of catch you up and let you know what's going on if you're new to this series. So things are very bad for humanity right now, and I'll just leave it at that. This story kind of lets you know, it fills in, this is kind of what's going on as the heroes of the Strain series are trying to launch an assault against the Master, who has become all-powerful. Latham, he really does a great job of capturing the essence of the characters and bringing you in and letting you know just their state of mind and their kind of direction and motives. Mike Huddleston's interior illustrations are very graphic, very dark, and I really enjoyed that. I think it works to the advantage of the story and creates just an ever approaching sense of dread, and it really captures the darkness of the story because things are pretty bleak for the heroes. Gist's cover illustration is also very cool. I did like just seeing the dark nature of the infected, or of the vampires. Basically, I just thought it was a very cool cover illustration. And when I saw this on the shelf, even though I was kind of fighting because I hadn't read the book, I kept my eye kept being drawn to it, and it really encouraged me to pick it up. So the cover illustration is another great selling point about this book. This book also has a $3.99 price tag. I think it's kind of brief, but I think that's kind of the new norm, and I guess it's better than $4.99. But yeah, overall this was great. I really enjoy the Strain series as a whole, and I look forward to not only reading the comics but also the novel, and also checking out the second season of the Strain. You can see that on FX. I believe it comes out this summer. So if you're a fan of horror and vampires that aren't of the Twilight variety, definitely check out the Strain, The Night Eternal from Dark Horse Comics. The next comic up for review is Descender number 3 from Image Comics. This comic is written by Jeff Lemire and illustrated cover and interior illustrations from Dustin Nguyen and lettered by Steve Wands. I saw this on the shelf and I thought it had a really cool cover illustration, so I went ahead and picked it up. Kind of an overcap of this story is that in the future humanity's come to depend on robots and artificial life. Lifelike robots have been created. They are basically mankind's servants, and they do the bidding of man. After a major cataclysmic event happened, these beings called the Harvesters arrived and basically destroyed Earth and space colonies and such. But I believe, if I'm understanding correctly, they use the robots to do that, and so one day they just disappear or up and leave, and the robots are left to blame, and so they are hunted to the point of extinction, and there are very few robots left in the universe. This is the story of Tim 21, I believe. He's the robot on the cover. I don't want to give too much away here, but this was a very cool comic. I'm a big fan of sci-fi comics, and this one has a lot of sci-fi elements. Growing up, I read Isaac Asimov books, and as soon as I started reading this comic, it definitely reminded me of those books. I think Jeff Lemire really crafts a very interesting and engaging story about robotic life forms, and robotic life forms are actually the heroes in this book. They're not the enemies, if you're thinking maybe the Matrix or something. But yeah, I really like Tim 21, and I'm very interested to see more. I really sympathize with the robots, and I think they're very interesting characters. And I'm also looking forward to learning more about this whole universe. I think this is going to be a really cool and huge and hopefully long-winded storyline that'll give me and readers a chance to learn more about this universe and get to really connect with these characters. This comic is beautifully illustrated by Dustin Nguyen. As you can see by just the cover art alone, there's just like a grace and a certain grace and style to his illustrations. And I also really love the color palette. I don't know what it is, but the colors really, although they are kind of underscored here, they just really bring this comic cover to life. And also the Nguyen's illustrations as well. Overall, I was very pleased with Descender, and I'm really looking forward to reading more. I think this story has a lot to offer, and I think it's definitely going to be sought after because it's very character-driven, full of beautiful artwork, and just all around a great comic. Image Comics seems to be knocking them out of the park by picking up these stories and publishing them. And so I just really enjoyed Descender, and I look forward to reading more. The next comic up for review is Convergence number 5 of 8 from DC Comics. This comic has a $3.99 price tag. I think it was worth it. It doesn't have as much content in this one, but it is part of the major series, and it does progress the story. Convergence is written by Jeff King, with interior and cover art from Andy Kubert. Inked by Sandra Hope, and colored by Brad Anderson, and lettering from Travis Laham. So I guess I'm going to start this one off with a bit of a gripe. This comic does not have a recap, and so we're well into Convergence number 5 of 8, so there's only 3 more issues left, of course. But I wasn't too sure what was going on. It would have been really helpful as a new reader to just jumping in on this point. For a recap or a summary page at the very beginning. I think that would have been really helpful for new readers like myself. I did read Convergence number 0, but we've come a long way from Convergence number 0, and definitely Convergence number 5 is a whole different world. I didn't get to pick up any of the Convergence series before this except for Convergence number 0. I was expecting to see more of the major New 52 or pre-New 52 DC heroes. I was hoping they would play a major part, and maybe they do in other parts, but since this is the main Convergence series, I was kind of expecting to see more of them, and I didn't. I saw a lot of alternate versions of heroes, which were still interesting and engaging, but of course they weren't the New 52 heroes or the pre-New 52 heroes. Overall, I mean, it was a cool and interesting comic. King's story is very action-packed. I mean, this thing moves at a breakneck pace and just keeps going from there. I obviously missed a lot that I'm not going to get in here because there's no recap, but I did try and follow along, and from what I can tell, basically things are going from bad to worse. The heroes are uniting, but they're not nearly powerful enough. So I like stories like that. I thought that was really cool, and that's something that I enjoyed about this issue. One of the coolest aspects about this comic that I thought that I really wasn't expecting, although of course we do see the Warlord right there, is that the Warlord really kicks butt in this issue. I was really happy that he showed up and he came ready to fight, and I thought it was cool. I hadn't seen him in a really long time. The Warlord is a character I believe created by Mike Grell, and he had a long running comic series in the 80s. But yeah, it was very cool to see him here and now, and as kick-ass as he was back in the day. So I think that was a standout point of this issue, which was very cool. So if there's any Warlord fans out there, you definitely want to check out this comic. Andy Kubert is another great part about this comic. I'm a huge fan of his work. I've been a fan since I was a kid, ever since seeing his 90s comics work and such. But yeah, he does a great job in this issue. There's tons of action-packed panels, which I really enjoyed. So I think he does a great job on the interior and cover illustration. Overall, I think this was worth the $3.99 price tag, and it was a cool installment. I really enjoyed seeing the Warlord back in action, and I did like this story. So I'm actually really looking forward to more of the Convergence and seeing what happens next. My only gripe would be, DC, please put a recap page for us. That'd be very helpful. But other than that, this was a lot of fun and a great issue. And last on my list, the one I think you've all been waiting for, is Marvel's Secret Wars #1 of 8. Secret Wars #1 is written by Jonathan Hickman, with interior art from Esad Ribic and cover art from Alex Ross, coloring from Ive Vorsina, and lettering from Chris Eliopoulos. Without spoiling too much, I will say that in this issue, all hope is lost. Things are very bad for the heroes of the Marvel Universe, and I'll go ahead and leave it at that. But this is basically the Marvel Universe's last-ditch effort to survive, which leads to some very cool interactions and very cool action. Hickman's been on a roll with the Avengers story, and I think you need to at least be somewhat familiar with what's going on with those stories to have an idea of what's going on here in Secret Wars, because it's all tied together. After reading this issue, I was kind of blown away at what happens by the end of this issue, and I credit Hickman with crafting such an engaging story that left me basically in awe and kind of really begging to know what comes next, what's going to happen after what happens here. Ribic's interior illustrations are gorgeous. I've been a fan of his work for a while because he just crafts such detailed illustrations that I've really come to enjoy, and the coloring work along with his illustrations is just spot on and phenomenal. The other aspect of this comic that I really love is the cover art done by Alex Ross. Like I've mentioned many times before, I'm a huge fan of Alex Ross and his work, and this cover illustration is just phenomenal. You can just see, basically, the cover is what you get inside of the book, so I just say that. Hopefully that doesn't spoil anything for anybody. But yeah, the Marvel Universe is in a state of disarray. Everything is just going to be changed after this, so prepare yourself when you read this, because everything really is, they weren't joking, everything does change in this issue. My only real gripe with this comic, although it's very cool and it does have a lot of story, is just the $4.99 price tag. It would have been great if it was $3.99, but it was $4.99. So that's the only thing I didn't like. Other than that, this comic is incredible. It's a great starting point. I can't assure fans how much this is a great starting point to this series, and how great they kick things off in this comic. So I can't wait to read more. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what comes next in Secret Wars #2. But in this issue alone, the Marvel Universe is irrevocably changed. If you can, grab this one. It definitely is worth getting. So that's it for this episode of First Edition, the All Things Comics, Film, and Pop Culture web show. If you like the show, please comment. Please let me know if you like the longer First Edition episode, or if you want me to chop this thing up and give it to you in reviews, cover the cover, top 5. If you just want smaller segments, or if you like it the way it is, just please let me know. And if you like the channel, if you like my shows, please like, comment, subscribe. I really appreciate all of your support, and I just thank you for watching, and definitely thank you for all of your support.